when we opened, we're very lucky. Sort of within the first 2 weeks, Taylor Swift walks in. And she comes back the next day, yeah. And then we didn't realise that we were next to the number one spray tan place in Lower Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So all the Victoria's Secret girls were getting their spray tans.
My name is Austin Tucker, and I'm on a mission to find the best come-up stories in the world. Everyone talks about success, but no one talks about the in-between. The mess, the risk, the doubt. I'm here for the people who made it anyway and are willing to tell their stories honest, unpolished, and real. These are the Breakout Bunch.
We are here with Nick Stone, founder of Bluestone Coffee, or Bluestone Lane Coffee.
That's correct.
Sorry. And also ex-professional football player, right?
Yes, true. Australian rules football, very different from NFL, American football, that's for sure. But, even though it seems like half the punters in college these days are Australian.
Really?
Come across, they've grown up playing Australian rules football, and they probably can't make it to professionally down under, but they come here and they get a scholarship and they get to play in front of 100,000 people. So it's not a bad gig as a punter.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are you originally from Australia?
Yeah, I'm originally from Melbourne, Australia. Moved to the US in 2010 as part of my sort of MBA studies, and then I was transferred with the bank I was working at. I was in corporate finance or in, investment banking, and my dream was to live in New York. Mm-hmm. And I met this great girl a couple of years prior to when I actually landed in New York, and she, which is Alexandra, I ended up marrying her and chased her to New York. She got there before me, but it's been an amazing run we've had in the US since 2010.
So, and at what point were you playing football? Was it prior or after New York?
Prior. So I was drafted in 1999 in my final year of high school. I was 17, just about to turn 18. And in Australian rules football, you get selected primarily when you're either 17 or 18. So I played for 6 seasons across 3 teams, and I studied at university at the same time. So when my career wound up and I had a great run, I had finished my graduate degree, and I was able to get an internship in investment banking, and that sort of kick-started my next career in finance, where I worked for 11 years until I went full-time at Bluestone Lane. I started Bluestone Lane on the side. Mm-hmm. The first store opened in 2013 in Midtown Manhattan, a little subterranean basement coffee shop, only about 200 square feet. Very hard to find. No signage outside.
Really?
That wasn't allowed. We weren't able to have a sandwich board or any decals or signage. The only way you could find it is if someone took you there. So it really grew organically and authentically through word of mouth. And then we got it to 12 stores by the middle of 2016, so after 3 years. And my boss tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You can't be doing 2 things anymore. You can't be running this team." I was overseeing Europe and Americas. You can't be on the leadership team and having this side hustle that's no longer just one coffee shop. It was 12 locations. So I took a career break, sabbatical for 1 year, and I didn't end up going back to the banking job. So,
I mean, the investment banking job it's hard. I had a buddy who was trying to go the investment banking route, and it's really long hours from what he was telling me. Like, you basically never stop working.
It's a lot of work, but it's an incredible way to learn the fundamentals on finance and actually just get very competent in building, creating, presenting, analyzing. The skills are quite generalist. They can really apply to a lot of facets of business. Mm-hmm. And I was very fortunate that I came from professional sports background, which requires an incredible amount of dedication and sacrifice.
Right.
Before I'd finished high school, I was already in professional system. So I was quite used to discipline and routine and the rigors of working in an elite environment. And I'd say investment banking is akin to that. It's very hard to get an opportunity. It's a privileged opportunity because you can work with companies on really strategic and exciting, innovative initiatives. Mm. You're compensated well, so you can't really complain there. So there's not an asymmetry between work and compensation.
Right.
And you get opportunities to travel and work overseas. For me, a guy from Melbourne, Australia, I had the chance to work in both London and in New York. How fabulous is that? So I think there's a lot more positives than negatives, but it's not for everyone, that's for sure. But for me, it was a good fit.
That's all. How much were you making at that time? Like, what does that field like provide income wise?
Oh, well, you can make six figures, pretty much within the first year or two of.
Really?
Yeah. So there's obviously big ranges, but
right.
That's realistic. You're not going to make less than that within your first 2 years. Yeah.
So you left that to do the coffee or to do Bluestone Lane.
Mm-hmm.
How much was the rent on that first place?
Because
the Midtown, that's not cheap.
This one was very much an amenity, and because it was so hard to find and so small. It was in a Class B building as well. We're not talking about the bottom of the Empire State Building, or the Hemsley Building or something. We were paying actually, I believe, $1,500 a month, which is incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
On a square foot basis, not that cheap.
No, but it's New York.
But yeah, it was. And remember that I signed the lease in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a long time ago. But yeah, it was very small. It didn't have the revenue potential because of the size of it and the fact that it was deeply embedded in a building and hard to really drive external traffic. But it was a good deal for everybody. We improved the amenity. We helped, I think, fill some of the vacancies or make it more compelling, the value proposition to be a tenant in the building. And after that, we moved to a second office building at 30 Broad Street, which is next to the New York Stock Exchange.
That's a great location.
Yeah, it was. And the Stock Exchange floor actually extended into this building many years ago. That had since ceased operations, but it was an 85-year-old building that had never had a retail amenity in it.
Really?
Never had anything in the lobby. We pitched the idea, and it was quite a beautiful Art Deco lobby, and we built a coffee shop in the middle of it, and that was a great success. It had an incredible brass vestibule where we ripped out the door and we made it this curved glass piece, and we had curved millwork for a sort of a coffee bar rail, and it was a fantastic spot to sit and had beautiful light. And yeah, that one was it opened on my birthday in 2013, October 1st. That was and we paid $3,100, I think, there, or something around 3,000. So they were both very profitable immediately. They were never going to make, in an absolute sense, massive profits. They're never going to make $1 million or
right.
But I think we could consistently make $100,000 or $200,000 profit
per
shop. Which
do you think back then? Obviously, social media was a thing, but nowadays I feel like everyone's looking for basically exactly what you guys have, a nice, cool, pretty place that like every girl's going to fall in love with the decor and stuff. And something like your first shop would have been Instagram and TikTok's like greatest success. Everyone loves a speakeasy style place.
Yes.
Do you think it would have been a lot bigger if that style of social media was around back then?
Well, we were very fortunate that Instagram came out around 2012.
Right.
So we were very early on that wave. And it was very helpful, incredibly helpful. It predated TikTok, so that wasn't a thing. And TikTok hasn't, I guess TikTok really arrived maybe 5 years ago. Or something
it's about
that.
When it first started really getting traction.
Really exploding. So we did benefit from Instagram and the fact that people started this theme of Instagramming food and
right.
Taking photos of latte art, because it does look very aesthetically pleasing. So people would take photos and tell people, and we certainly developed an aspirational lifestyle premium brand that still to this day, a lot of our locals, we don't use the word customers, we call them locals, so that we have a relationship with them. Our locals do Instagram and they use it as almost a badge of honor or a status symbol to let people know that, hey, I'm at Bluestone Lane and had a great meal, caught up with a friend, enjoy visiting. So that was important. But where the power of social media started to help us a lot was in our second year of operations. We opened our first cafe, which is a larger format offering, where coffee shops, you would order at the counter and someone would give you your coffee primarily for takeaway. We had very few seats. The cafe was orientated around table service.
Right.
So we'd have a broader menu and people would spend longer, and it was primarily locals were dining with another local. So 90% of transactions are two or more people. And that cafe really put the brand on the map because it was the confluence of this broader proposition that was really not common in New York. You had avocado toast and coffee, then you could also get a beer and wine. You had just such a broader menu, and it was in the right spot in West Village. It was around the corner from where I lived, and I lived in Manhattan for nearly 10 years, and it was only lived in West Village. So we're able to be there so frequently before work and after work and on the weekends, and whatever role I was required to do, I've got no problems in doing it. And Alexandra was the same. We spent a lot of time washing dishes and clearing out debris and floods and all that sort of fun stuff. But when we opened, we were very lucky. Sort of within the first 2 weeks, Taylor Swift walks in, and she comes back the next day. Yeah, and then we didn't realize that we were next to the number one spray tan place in Lower Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So all the Victoria's Secret girls were getting their spray tans, and there was solarium there as well. And then they were coming into the cafe to grab a coffee or a juice or a smoothie or what have you. So it just started to develop this virality, and people were having a great time. And a lot of the locals, West Village locals, were high profile or celebrities, and we never treated them any differently. So if you came in off the street, and there was no table, you had to wait and queue.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if you were a student, a tourist, or a Hollywood star, you'd wait out the front. So I got lots of occasions of seeing very famous people waiting for a table, and there was no sort of jump in the line or
special treatment.
Yeah, no special treatment, because I think that was so core to who we are, and everyone's treated the same, and we're very much based around under promise, over deliver, and humility and respect, and it worked really well. And most of the high profile sports people or celebrities that I know, or business people, they're not really looking for special treatment.
If anything, they want the opposite.
They just want to assimilate with everyone else, and they don't. Yeah, I think they're often their guards up if they get treated differently. So it's been cool, but there was some. When we used to have Sarah Jessica Parker come in most days. Now, she was kind of, I guess, the queen of West Village with her character, Carrie. So in Sex and the City. So that was pretty significant. Malcolm Gladwell, David Beckham, a lot of actors and interesting people. So that was the catalyst, and then social media blew that up, and we're off to the races.
So a lot of your story sounds like it was a lot of good things happen. Where are the struggles, though? There's no story without struggle, right?
Well, it's one of we only have 4 values, and one of the values is ride the wave. And ride the wave is a metaphor for the way that business cycles work and companies' life cycles work. You've got days where you feel like everything's working well, the wind's offshore, it's clean, swell's perfect, you got to go for it. And then there's a lot of days where it's choppy and cold and messy out there and just not that fun. And that is the life of hospitality. Hospitality it's very much about being in the moment, and you're only as good as your last engagement or transaction. And that is very tough, because you don't really have a purely annuity business where you know you're going to get paid, and you know people are going to buy your product, or they're contracted to buy your product.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to, you know, you really get judged on the last coffee you make or last experience you provide. So
I mean, all it takes now is one Instagram post and
or one review, and,
Yeah.
and people like a lot of people don't realize that the power of you know, projecting a view and the digital veil masks at times people's, well, it just emboldens people to say things that at time they might not really deep down mean, but because there's a digital mask, because there's no recourse, I can tell, you know, I can jump on this and say it's a 1 star because they forgot to put in sugar in my coffee or something.
Right.
Now, I get that was an error, and it was probably a pretty innocent one, and I don't think it was premeditated or intended that
Right.
the barista didn't put the coffee in or put the sugar in or did. It's probably not a 1 star. There's probably a lot of things that were perfectly fine, but that sort of binary approach with reviews is really, really hard to deal with, because it gets the team so demotivated when they see sort of personal attacks. Because how many jobs out there do you go to work and you get assessed, you know, at this level of scrutiny and rigor? You know,
Well, it seems like there's only 2 reviews anyways. Like everyone's either I loved it so much or I hated it, and if it's just a neutral experience, you're probably not going to send a review at all. But like you either get the best or the worst.
I think you're precisely right. It's a barbell, and a lot of brands that are chains and just homogenous, I think there's a perception by the consumer often that they expect quite like not a lot. They expect mediocrity.
Yeah.
And when mediocrity is delivered, it's not worth them writing a review, because it sort of does meet their expectations. They didn't. But with Bluestone, our locals expect an amazing experience every time,
Right.
a premium experience.
Yeah, like when I want a good coffee,
Yeah.
I'm going to Bluestone.
And what's interesting is Bluestone might only be priced 20 cents or 50 cents more than Starbucks, but your expectation on the experience is
Way higher.
so much higher, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so if Bluestone doesn't deliver this amazing experience, even though you only spent 50 cents or $1 more, you're more inclined to write a review. That is just a challenge of you know, the stage of life cycle we're in. I used to get really, really down on reviews, because I get them fed to me, you know, dynamically, so every day. And sometimes it's, you know, the better thing to do is often to shut them off and look at them at the end of the week, and then really dive into what are the themes, because I think every review is directionally accurate and there's patterns. There's going to be at times people just had a bad morning, and in fact often they're responsible for the error, but they
Right.
blame the business. So you just have to work through it. Now we use AI we put all the reviews in weekly from any of the different data sources, Google, Yelp, TripAdvisor, what have you. And you know, we have a dashboard that computes all the information and provides this really detailed report in like 2 minutes.
Really?
It's incredible. Yeah, and that's like a great application of AI for us. Yeah.
I love AI. It's changed, I feel like, everyone's lives. And it's funny, every business owner that's been on here, we've talked about AI to some degree, because it's just really shifting everything.
It is driving a level of productivity that's pretty wild.
Well, yeah, 'cause imagine you'd spend hours reading all these reviews, I'm assuming, at this point.
Yeah, you're exactly
and
right.
AI just chops through it in a minute and a half.
Yeah, I think reviewing data and reviewing numbers, it's so fast to compute insights. It is quite amazing. So yeah, it's going to cause a lot of change in the workforce. But I think that for us, that opportunity that AI presents is pretty compelling, because we are very much focused on human connection. Like
Right.
that is our North Star, to be an antidote to the loneliness epidemic, which is a huge issue in the United States. It's a huge issue in the Western world, in Australia. Depression, loneliness, self-harm, mental health, lack of friendship are massive societal challenges.
Yeah.
And in fact, the leading cause of death for a male under 45 is now, unfortunately, self-harm. It's not drink driving, it's not drug use or cancer or heart failure. It's actually self-harm. So I think with the amount of digital connectivity that's been pushed onto the world, with a lot of success and a lot of improvements in the way that we live and freedom. Conversely, there's been some big externalities, which is this substitution of digital connectivity without for a lack of human connection, which is sad. So catching up with your mates is not as common.
Making your friends now.
Making friends is harder.
Like when I moved to Boston, I didn't have any friends, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll just go walk around the city and like go talk to people. And you look around, everyone's got their AirPods in, and they're trying to get where they're trying to go, and it's like I can't even spark a conversation with the person I wanted to, because if I make them take their AirPod out, they're gonna be like, what the hell do you want?
Yeah,
and we're kind of doing it to ourselves.
Exactly. And I think it's just this perpetual wheel, and you've got to be an antidote to it. You've got to stop it. And I think a big part of it is participating in community activities. So join a run club, grab a coffee with a mate, grab a beer with a mate, just do something with other humans. And that, for us, that's huge. We're not a laptop culture at Bluestone. If you go to our locations, you don't see laptops everywhere. We really encourage, and we're there to facilitate human connection. We want people to come together. We want to do it in a way where it's an affordable luxury experience. You don't have to go out for dinner with us. Dinner is expensive these days. If you go to any independent restaurant, it's very hard to spend less than $60-$70.
Well, it's really easy to spend $200 the second you start getting drinks.
And like people may criticize us for saying that, but that is if you live in a lot of the tier 1 cities, I'm not saying it applies to all of the US, but let's say the top 20 tier 1 cities, that could be from New York, Phoenix, Dallas, Austin, San Francisco, LA, OC, San Diego, DC, Boston, Philadelphia. It's not hard to spend $100 a head with tax and tip.
Yeah.
Just to have dinner. And that's not that'd be a nice dinner, but not absolutely crazy extravagant. And, so you catch up with a friend, you're going to spend $100 each. Well, at Bluestone, you grab a coffee and an avocado toast and spend $17 each.
Right.
And spend 45 minutes or an hour in a great atmosphere with people watching, cool music, comfortable decor. And I think that's really underpinning the fantastic, last 2 years that we've been enjoying, because the exuberance of, the COVID revenge spend, everyone sort of went up. Like it was all boats go up in a rising tide. But that has been flushed out of the system. Cost of living's a bit tighter. And it's interesting that so many hospitality brands are struggling, or their same-store sales are going negative, or their profitability's been challenged. And it's pleasing to see that we've been moving in the right direction from that perspective.
So, and speaking of that, I know at your height you had about 65 stores across America.
Yeah. And
then COVID, you and Alex had a very interesting time during that time, which she was in Australia, stuck over there, and you were here, and you guys downsized the amount of stores you had, right?
Yeah, so when COVID hit in March 2020, we had 51 locations, and they were predominantly in inner urban areas. We only had one suburban cafe, and that was in the Bay Area in Los Altos in Northern California. And of that 51, 30 were coffee shops, so smaller footprint, really amenity in the bottom of office buildings or mixed-use buildings, and then we had 20 cafes. And what ended up happening is the cafes that were in residential areas were able to recover a lot faster than the coffee shops and office buildings. Mm-hmm. So we had to close a tremendous amount of these coffee shops and pivot to cafes in residential areas, both urban and suburban. So we went from one suburban cafe to 10, and we really focused on commuter towns, because what we saw was a lot of young couples that were living in the city they decided, hey, we might move out to Larchmont, or we might move out to Summit, New Jersey, and then commute in because I don't have to be in the office every day.
Right.
This COVID experience was horrible, living in my apartment and being restricted on what I could do and how frequently I could go outside. There was just a lot of movement. So for us, we had to have significant change, and that was very very hard. I had to let go, nearly 85% of the staff, within the first week, because we lost 87% of our revenue in 2 weeks, and that's a cliff that's very, very hard to survive.
Well, on top of that, do you own all these buildings?
No, we're the lessee. So,
which even then you can't just jump out of these leases.
Yeah, that's right.
So how did you structure all that up?
Yeah, so I just got on the phone and renegotiated non-stop. I had another gentleman that helped me with it, who was our general counsel at the time. He did a great job, and then I found that the majority of landlords really want to work with you. They appreciate that this is an existential crisis, that it was beyond our control, and we were doing the best we can. We're great. We're a great brand. We had a great product, and we're great operators, and we added real value to them. So most worked with us, but very tough.
Right.
And since I think that we have had in total probably around 200 to 300 lease amendments.
Really?
Yeah, since 2020. Prior to that, I think I probably only amended a lease once. But I became very proficient at understanding leases and where our leverage points are, where our exposure is. And I do feel that I'm quite experienced now in finding common ground and where a solution can work. And I think it's served us well. We've learned a lot, and the business has become so much stronger, and we're just a lot clearer in how we are differentiated, what our value proposition is, how we can generate fantastic economic returns, and how we can build a brand and build a company that is a great place to work and delivers a lot of community benefit. So I would look back on COVID as one of the most challenging periods as a business leader and operator, but the lessons have been extraordinary. And
Right.
I would say, running a company, a consumer company in New York, where New York was one of the COVID, capitals, I would say that those 2 to 3 years is equivalent of probably 10 years of experience. So it's been great. And what was most fascinating is you never want to waste a crisis. And during a crisis, when things can't get any worse, you are so emboldened to try things. You throw caution to the wind, and you ask for things that you're probably hesitant to or not brave enough.
Right.
And that was what was amazing. Asking for someone, hey, listen, we can't pay rent for the next year. That's just the reality.
Right.
I'm trying to keep the lights on here, and I will only be able to pay you rent if I generate this. But if I can't pay you rent. But what we will be is we're a great amenity. So when you're trying to get your office tenants to come back, Bluestone will be in the bottom, and they'll be able to say, hey, Bluestone's operating. I can get a coffee. I can get a sandwich or a salad, and they make me feel good, and I value that. And that, prior to that, I'd maybe ask for a discount or a favorable rent, but never to the point where it was like, I'm not paying anything.
Yeah, right.
But, you learn. You learn, and Scott Galloway, who you probably know, is a big podcaster and sort of journalist, business advisor, and he always says it's never as good or as bad at the time, as it seems. So, it felt like it was the worst moment ever, but looking back on it now, humans have short memories. You evolve and you move forward, and it was tough, but I'm here. And
do you think if COVID didn't happen, the business would be in the same place as it is now?
Oh, that's a great question. Hindsight is a beautiful thing,
right?
But you never know. I think that the way I would phrase it is, I think that we made the most of very challenging circumstances. We did it independently. We did it in a really aligned way, and I'm enormously proud of the decisions we made and how we navigated and pivoted the business to the position of strength it has now.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big time for you guys. It sounds like a lot of the business changes came because of COVID, but I think your business would still be doing plenty fine without making all the changes. But the cafe model seems to be more aligned with your vision anyways.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that we're already leaning that way, but this was a massive accelerant, and the returns on that side and just the passion I think we have for a broader hospitality offering has really stood out over the last few years, and it's been the right call, and we're really excited about like accelerating the rollout on that side. But we had to restructure, we had to right size, and what we've been able to do is reduce our store count down by 20%, but revenue is significantly higher, operating profit is significantly higher. So it just meant that more concentrated focus, larger footprint locations with much higher revenue, and we've been able to benefit from that flow through.
And you plan to keep expanding?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The big focus is on the Northeast. The company's headquartered in New York, and it's where we have our critical mass of locations. There's just so much opportunity in New York, not just New York City, New York State, in Massachusetts, in
it does give
Virginia.
A very East Coast coffee shop feel. Like it fits that East Coast feel very, very well.
Yeah. I think we're just very clear on what matters to our locals, and if we can deliver on that, we're just going to have a fantastic run. Look at the precedents out there. Starbucks built a $100 billion business in 30 years or 40 years. Dunkin', there's a lot of brands out there where, personally, being an Australian coming from the land of independence. So in Australia, Starbucks failed. There's no Dunkin', there's no Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf or Pete's or Tim Hortons, Costa Coffee. It's really independent premium espresso establishments. I just have a very high, a strong opinion that if they can build a business they have with a product that I don't think is particularly good, and without the value proposition as compelling as Bluestone, the human connection orientation, the food program, beautiful stores, I just see, well, why couldn't we be 100, 200, 500, 1,000 locations? Starbucks is 34,000 locations.
And their coffee's not that great.
Well, in my, I share that view that it's I'm just
a little bit of a coffee snob. Like if I'm going to go somewhere, it's going to be like your shop or like Blue Bottle or my favorite is La Colombe, but unfortunately we don't have any of that out here.
La Colombe's good. There's Kit coffees around the corner from here. It's quite good. Have you ever tried Kit?
No.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll have to give that a shot.
Shout out for Kit. I just had a coffee on the way in. It was lovely.
Yeah, I just moved to Newport, so I go over to Blue Bottle now in Lido all the time.
Yeah,
and beautiful location.
There's a Kit in Newport too. I don't know why I'm pumping those guys.
I know you're really pumping up your competition right now.
No, but game acknowledges game, as they say. But there's nothing wrong with being a coffee snob. That's for sure. For me, I just think, why waste $5 or $6 on something that is just not that great when you have an alternative that it probably costs the same? Like, that's what's amazing. I think there was always this myth that the premium specialty cafes are so much more expensive than the big chains, and it's just not the case. There's been the gap has narrowed so significantly to a point where it's pretty immaterial, the difference between buying a Starbucks or a Blue Bottle.
I mean, it's kind of happened the same way with a lot of things. Like you go to fast food now, you go to Carl's Jr., you're going to spend as much as going to go sit down at a real restaurant and get a burger and fries that's 10 times better quality.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but the gap has changed so much. Like tacos are like $2 a piece now. You used to be able to go to Jack in the Box and get, 2 for 89 cents or something?
Right.
Like everything has gone to the point where the cheaper alternative, like the quick option, isn't more cost effective than a reasonably like quality wise item.
And I think if you can deliver that that enhanced experience that you talked about, sit down and have proper service, and I think it just becomes more compelling, and that's where the casual dining chains have been doing really well this year, and a lot of the fast casual have struggled. Sweet Green and even Carver's growth slowed a bit, and Chipotle, because they're almost the cost of a restaurant meal.
Right.
$16, $17, $18. And let's be honest, like eating in one of those stores is probably not going to be the most atmospheric.
No.
It's probably not a place you're going to take someone on a date, but to a Bluestone.
I feel like I can have a business meeting at a Bluestone.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that at Chipotle.
Well, I think that's very well said.
Yeah. So, okay. So your vision is forever expanding. Did you ever think you were going to have like a corporate office and like employees and stuff? Sounds like that's kind of where you're at now, where you have an operation that's bigger than just you and Alex. But it sounds like you're still rather hands-on at all your stores at the same time.
I'm certainly a hands-on leader. I'm a big believer in empowerment and autonomy, and but that's taken time, and really to get to the level, it does take a lot of repetition and years. And once I trust, I'm full empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a long time to get that trust, and to trust, you really have to not only have put in the requisite effort and commitment and consistency, but you do have to have some wins. And once you do, I really let you run in your own lane. But I love working and I love being involved. I'm not one of those leaders that sits around and does 2 hours of emailing. And I work hard, I work productively, and I love building things and being part of it. I'm not hands off. I think one day I will be, but this is my first child. I've got three human children and I've got one business one, and it means I feel a huge degree of responsibility for my team. We serve 115,000 locals a week. I want to make sure that they're having a great day. You never know. Bluestone could be the difference between a terrible day or a fantastic one. The mother that's been up all night with a crying baby and walks in with a stroller at 8:30 a.m. for that coffee, the only time they're getting out of the house for the day. Like, how magical and how special is it that you could make someone feel like they're part of something and give them a break, and that they're not just alone dealing with their life and their issues. So that's a very fortunate responsibility. So yeah, I love being involved. And at the start, I never thought I'd ever leave banking. I really enjoyed working in banking.
Banking's a fun industry. It's stressful, but the stuff you learn, like the amount of knowledge I have now about the real estate market and how to play with different programs and whatnot, I'm smarter than probably most investors, but you know, it's a lot of work, but it does pay well too. Yeah,
I think that's right. If you do a great job, there's rewards. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not cushy, but I'm also pretty addicted to improving and the win and challenge. I love setting goals, like daily goals, weekly goals, and just knocking them off. I love that competitive nature. It makes, I was a sportsman and I've always been that way. Not to the point where, you're a jerk and you're not part of a team. Like, I just love team sports. I've never been a great individual sportsman. It's a lot of fun, setting goals and working as part of a high performance team and achieving them. Like, celebrate the wins, and if you don't get there, learn and reflect and go again. Right. That's life.
I feel like most of the things you learn in business are from your, I don't want to call them failures, but the missteps you take along the way and stuff. Like, even it's like COVID was really like a monumental time for you, I feel like, because you learned so much from something you never could have saw happening. Yeah. Like, who saw a pandemic coming?
No, exactly. No, I think.
But speaking on your goals, like, what is what's your goal for the company?
Well, I think Malcolm Gladwell said it really well in an interview. He said Bluestone Lane's a force for good. And I really feel that the world, given with what's going on with this loneliness epidemic and mental health, like we need more Bluestones. We've got to get away from just commodity transactional coffee. We've got to create spaces where you drive community and people come together and we facilitate human connection. And it's got to be an affordable luxury experience. Can't be just for those who want to spend $100. It's got to be more accessible and available and inclusive. So for me, I think Bluestone can be hundreds of locations very easily. The economic model is sound. The value proposition's compelling. I think we've built a lifestyle brand. We've got incredible partnerships, whether it's with Hilton, AG1, Frankie's Bikinis, Vita Coco, Poppy, a lot of the luxury brands, Disney. They constantly drive innovation and ideas to collaborate, whether that's new limited time offers or whether it's initiatives with our loyalty program. So I feel like there needs to be a real scale premium cafe brand, and right now there's none. There's a couple that are of similar size. Tate's one that's in Boston.
Tate's
there's very different, right?
Yeah.
It's more bakery led, and there's a few in the bakery world, but in our lane, I think that there's just a tremendous amount of white space. And if, as I said earlier, if there's 30,000 Starbucks, like how could there not be 1,000 Bluestones?
Right.
There's something like 18,000 Starbucks in the US alone. Okay, let's just take, 2% of that. Well, that gets us close to 400 stores.
Right.
2%, not 20. So I think there's enormous runway, and 400 stores would be 8x or 7x the amount of locations we have right now.
Yeah, I think with your like how motivated you are to do this, you definitely would. Like, I think you can get there easy. I think you're gonna do more than you think you are. Like, I think 1,000, you can be there in the next. It's gonna take some time, obviously. It's not something you do quickly.
I think it'll take some time, but I think we can get there. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty excited by the opportunity. Yeah.
So, are you in what's the way I'm trying to word this? Are you happy where you are now, or would you feel like you would be further ahead or a little far behind compared to where you were maybe a couple years ago?
Oh, well, COVID, I think the momentum we had before COVID was, we didn't have as good a business as we do now, but we had a lot more momentum, and I think that we lost some years there. But, it's okay. And, I've learnt and evolved, and I haven't wasted any time. It just hasn't showed up maybe in growth numbers that were as ambitious as I hoped, but we've still doubled the size of the business from 2019. So I'm and the profitability has improved, off the chart. So I think we're sort of meant to be where we're meant to be. We're ready now to grow very quickly. We have all the pieces in the right spots. We've got an amazing team. We've got the systems, the loyalty database, the tech. We've got the brand. We've got the partnerships. Now it's time to throw fuel on the fire and get going. I think that's what's really exciting now. And I don't want to, I don't want to sit around and grow slowly. I want to go after it now in a big way and open 10, 15, 20 stores a year and really start producing big numbers.
Do you think when doing that, you're going to have to be a little less hands-on doing that many projects? Like, I know right now Alex has a lot of the design per store and everything. Is it going to be a lot more relying on your team?
Oh, yeah. The team, absolutely. I think you have always those founder touches, and Alexandra is part of that as the de facto co-founder. There's always that founder magic, but the team will drive the business. That's for sure. They already do it now. I know where I am best suited and where I add the most value, but the majority of things the team does. But I have special, unique skills and experience. and I'm the face of the brand. So I have a very good understanding of the brand positioning and how to make things happen. But the team runs the company,
Right.
and that's fantastic. Our head of who runs retail stores better than I could, and got a great person running the growth business, and then we have amazing person running the brand positioning and culture, and they're all experts. My job was to make sure that I could recruit them and educate them, condition them to be successful in their role, and then give them absolute clarity about what my expectations are, what the company's expectations are, what success looks like. And I think we've done a really good job over the last sort of year and a half to achieve that.
Yeah, I would say the same. With as much growth as you want to do you think the quality and your message is going to stay intact, or is that going to be kind of difficult to keep with scale?
I think it's always a challenge, but I think we've shown that we can do it quite successfully. But communication is always a perpetual issue, because there's this paradigm of communicate too much or communicate too little. And
Right.
it's really hard, especially in hospitality where you have high turnover and you have a lot of hourly staff. A lot of the team, they come in, they want to get the job done, and then as soon as it's over, they want to be able to focus on other passions. Or,
Right.
a lot, especially in transitory cities like New York or LA or San Francisco, people coming in and out. A lot of them are expats. They're actually not from LA. They're from other parts of the country or international. So you just got to be mindful that, you don't want to bombard them, because then they feel like they're just going to turn off and they're not going to read or listen to anything. And then you can't under-communicate, because they feel that they've been isolated, not part of the team. So it's always a challenge, but I'm sure we can navigate it. Yeah.
I think you're going to do fine.
Yeah.
I'm excited for where you guys are definitely going to go. I'm going to definitely keep a close eye on it. If you had, we'll kind of close on this. If you had anything to say for the youth, if someone who wants to build something incredible like you have, or just get out of that 9-to-5 rat race, what would your advice be?
That's a great question. Well, certainly there's huge upside if you build your own business. You've got that agency and autonomy, and there's a very good chance that you could be commercially successful. But the downside is, if it doesn't work out, you could lose a lot.
Right.
And you also are going to have to get very, very comfortable with ambiguity, uncertainty, and knowing that you don't necessarily have a stable platform, because you're always chasing the next buck. Versus when I worked in the bank, banks always made money, most of the time. And so you just knew you were going to get a paycheck, and you knew where to go and what time you had to be there and what your role was and what to even wear.
Right.
When you're your own boss, you got to be incredibly self-motivated and disciplined. You got to be comfortable with uncertainty and anxiety, you really, really do, because you're thinking about it the whole time. You never switch off. It's never like, oh, I'm just going to have a 3-week holiday. I'm not going to think about my own business.
Right.
It's like saying, I'm going to go play golf, and I'm not, for the next week, I'm not going to think about my kids. That's just, I think it's a bit unrealistic. But if you're able to find comfort in it and really embrace it, it's really exciting. And the benefits that I get from being a founder is that I can very much pick what I work on, and I can spend a lot of time on this or a little time, and I can use the power of delegation and hiring the right team to be able to make that decision as the leader.
Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Where can people go to support you?
Well, we have locations in 10 markets. So from New York, let's start at the top. So Boston, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, DC, Houston, Orange County, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Nashville. I forgot Nashville. So we're in 10 markets. Come and visit Bluestone Lane. Our website's www.bluestonelane.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Nicholas James Stone. search Nicholas Stone, Bluestone, you'll find me. And our Instagram, Bluestone Lane. And we've got a lot of followers and a lot of pretty photos, so you can see what the stores look like, what the food and coffee looks like. Love to make you a local. So thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, and you'll definitely see me at your stores.
Thanks, Austin. See you, mate.
All right, Nick. To everyone who made it to the end, I appreciate you and all the support you've given so far. Stay tuned for weekly episodes, and if you know anyone who might be a good candidate for the show, please drop it in the comments below or shoot me a DM.